So Jennifer, could you share a little bit about your background, just kind of give them an idea of who you are?
Absolutely. I actually was not born in Dallas. I was born just outside of Chicago in a town called Gary, Indiana. All my family's still there, but then my dad picked up and we moved to Reno, Nevada when I was 6, because Gary's not the type of place that he wanted to raise his family. And so I grew up there, and I went to college in Reno, Nevada, and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. But my passion and my dream was always to be an attorney. And so in 1997, I picked up my family and we moved to Dallas, Texas, so that I could attend SMU and graduate from law school. And so I went through law school, and I graduated in 2000 and thought, okay, this is great. Got that under my belt. What do I do now? And it took me some time to figure out, after clerking with the Dallas Court of Appeals for a couple years and working with judges and seeing how they analyzed cases, to figure out what I wanted to do next. So I joined a law firm. I knew I wanted to do litigation because I enjoyed representing people and working through the issues that they came up with in their business. I've always done business litigation and represented businesses and tried to help them through the challenges that, unfortunately, today, in a day and age where litigation is kind of prevalent, that's what you have to deal with. And so you see people not only at the worst times that they're dealing with, but also at the best times, because I became a firm believer that adversity brings out the best in people. And so I worked through that and became kind of part of the whole Manatech issue when they kind of went through their challenges with the FDA and the FTC, and represented people throughout that, and learned so much about the industry and about the drug sales industry. And it's funny how when I look back and I think, man, life comes full circle, and I had a passion for the drug sales industry, and you didn't know kind of why, but I just felt for the distributors and those executives struggling with the ambiguity that the law in the United States has in the drug sales space, unfortunately. And I had that, and I gained that because I grew up with a family that was passionate about drug sales. My dad sold Kirby vacuum cleaners. He sold Herbalife, and he sold the photo albums. And I don't remember all of what he did. What I do remember is him doing that meant he was the best dad for me, because he was there when I walked home from school for lunch, and he made my sandwich for me. And he was able to do that because of this industry. So I have a passion for what you do, and I have a passion for you to be able to do what's important for you besides earning a living. When I went through law school and I figured out finally that I wanted to do direct sales, I started working with Terry LaCour. I represented him for a couple of years, and then he had some challenges himself with regulatory stuff, but also within the industry. And so what I do is I look at compliance from your perspective. What I'm here to try and do is help make sure that what you do has a sustainability to it. It has an ability to survive beyond next week, next month, or next year. So when I approach compliance and I approach representing the company in the legal challenges, that's my goal. So I hope that helps.
Well, it does, and that gives an idea. I want you guys to understand, too, when she talks about from your perspective, Jennifer is a distributor-friendly attorney. Terry, who's a partner here, is a distributor-friendly partner. Okay, so when we look and educate and get on to you guys sometimes for different claims, it's because we understand if we don't, there can be bigger issues. And we're going to come softly. It's not going to be coming carrying a big stick. That may come down the road, but it won't. Let's talk about claims, income and medical claims. Why is that such a major issue today with the way the climate is?
Sure. Today, we have to focus on it way more than we've ever had to focus on it in the past. What we see is there's a time where the government has expanded its take on what we're doing. You're in an industry that nobody wants you to succeed. That's just the way it is. You're not part of corporate America, so corporate America looks at what you do in the direct sales and the freedom that you have, and they're jealous. So, of course, they're going to nitpick at everything you do. That comes from a government and a regulatory standpoint. If you come and you want a product like Prüvit's product that is a healthy product that does not require a prescription. It doesn't require that you go to your doctor all the time and those sorts of things. So you're kind of swimming upstream from two instances. So you're going to get scrutiny from that. And our government decided that it needed to grow rather than to support people. So now they've hired a bunch of regulators and the FDA and the FTC to look at what you're doing. You have to know that. You have to be conscious of it. If you're not, then you're just doing yourself a disservice. So we have to be super careful what we say and what we do and how we represent what you're doing. And the words mean something. They do.
They do. Guys, I ended up with a $6,000 fine by the SEC because of one word in a contract that I had with a client. And it was the word promote. And they went back to a law from the 30s and said that means advertise. So words are so important when it comes to regulators. Don't put testimonials online until they've gone through the compliance department. Okay, because you're the one, you will get hit. It won't just be the company. They will come after you also. Jennifer, one of the one things that people see as a challenge with Prüvit, and I've reported on this, is that there's a pending lawsuit with a competitor, Forever Green, and Access Global, and it's kind of convoluted, but can you share in just layman's terms so everybody can understand where that's at, why it came about, and what it means to them?
Sure. Unfortunately, Prüvit entered into a contract with Access Global to be able to use the rights that it obtained under certain patents for the ingredients that are in the Prüvit product for the combination of the BHB salts and the MCTs. It did exactly what every other company does. It found a fantastic product. It went out and it obtained a contract to be able to produce that product and use those rights. What happened after that, the courts will tell. We have our perspective. I'm quite sure that Forever Green has theirs and Access Global has theirs. And I'm sure we'll hear a lot about it. But the bottom line is that's something that the court's going to decide. We firmly believe in our position, and we firmly believe that Prüvit did what was the appropriate thing to do and followed the contract and went through what it was supposed to. Not until that started hearing things from Forever Green and Access Global questioning the validity of the contract and hearing about what Forever Green was saying in the press about exclusivity and that Prüvit didn't have rights and didn't have certain things that Prüvit knew it had, did Prüvit file a lawsuit. So Prüvit filed a lawsuit against Forever Green and Access Global to say, okay, hey, tell us what the rights are of each of the parties. And that's really the essence of what the lawsuit is. It's pending in the Northern District, or it's in the Eastern District of Texas. It's in Sherman. And so that is a very new lawsuit. Lawsuits take time. It's not set for trial yet. Answers haven't been filed yet. Disclosures haven't begun. And so this is going to be a long process that we'll have to update you over time. But it's unfortunately something that businesses face today. Many businesses face lawsuits. It's not a reason to panic.
Okay, now we've heard some rumors about a possible injunction. What exactly would an injunction mean, or what does it mean for individuals building a business?
Sure. Injunctions are designed to help stop an activity or define what can occur while a lawsuit's pending. So different things that are allowed or not allowed during the pendency of the lawsuit until a final judgment comes out. Injunctions also have to go through the same process that any decision through the court has to be made. So they have to file a motion. We get an opportunity to answer, and then the judge gets to have a hearing. We don't know what the timeline of that's going to be or if one is ever going to get filed. I think we've heard in the social media that Forever Green says that they plan to file one. If they do, we'll deal with it just like we deal with any of the other issues. I can't tell you whether an injunction will be granted or not be granted. That would be great if I had a crystal ball to allow me to do that.
Well, and that's, guys, this is where Prüvit differs from a lot of companies. There are no secrets. We're all in this together. Brian said that earlier. This isn't you against the company or the company against the rep. This is a partnership here. This is something that if you guys continue to do what you're going to do, the company's going to continue to do what they're supposed to do, and together you guys will create a story that could possibly be historic. I mean, when you think about that, you've heard the experts up here. You guys are pioneering something new. That reminds me of Apple. Okay, they've created the iPad. They've done some wild stuff. You guys are there. You didn't create ketones, but you've created a pretty cool product that I like. It does some great things. We got time for 3 questions, Brian. Who's got a question? We got a microphone? Hang on just a second. That's all right. We want it on tape. Tell us where you're from and who you are.
That I don't have an answer for, unfortunately. So, worst consequences is we reformulate the product and go forward with a formulation that works just as good, and you can still go ahead and sell. Mm-hmm.
Another question? Down here, down front.
Hello, Larry from Houston.
Can you
Stand up, Larry.
Yeah.
I think that he answered my question. I wanted to know who owns the formula, which company owns it right now.
It's Prüvit's formula. So it's based on technology that's patented technology out of the University of South Florida. But the formulation itself, Prüvit has spent over a year and a half developing. That was not an easy process. And so to have that formulation come out the way that it is, and it's continually being worked on. So you've seen version 1, version 2, and version 3, but that is Prüvit's formula.
Okay, so the lawsuit involved in future formulas?
No, the lawsuit would not involve future formulas. Mm-hmm.
And correct me, Jennifer, the lawsuit now is actually over contractual dispute.
It is.
It isn't the formula itself, correct?
That's right. There's not a dispute as to whose formula is whose. It's definitely Prüvit's formulation. It's a contractual dispute, mostly between Prüvit and Access Global. Unfortunately, Forever Green got in the mix of it.
Yeah. We got a young lady right here.
But when you said if worst case scenario, if we lose the lawsuit, then we have to go back and provide a different formula. So we're getting some products from these 2 companies that are creating a package now.
We're not getting any ingredients from either of the 2 companies that the lawsuit's with. It is over the rights to use patented technology that is owned by the University of South Florida. So, and that's really just the dispute over the technology that kind of underlines the Prüvit product. Yes, sure. That's why it's still open. So it's any opportunity to basically reformulate the product, not utilizing the patented technology.
We're going to do one last question right back here in the back.
Okay, Debbie Dice, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Right.
Are we developing our own patent formula so we don't have to deal with any outside patents?
Absolutely, we are. Yep.
And that's something everyone should understand. That's one reason that working with Liqueur Labs is such a cool thing to do, because Terry Liqueur loves this industry. And when he gets involved in something, he looks at the larger picture. That's why he's been a mentor to Brian for many, many years. It's because when you look bigger, you start at one location, and then it just expands from there. Starbucks never thought they were going to be selling wine and cheese at night until they realized, hey, there's soccer moms that come and hang out, and they need to relax, okay? So, I mean, it's always going to be evolving. There's always going to be great stuff that's out there. Miss Jennifer, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Give her a big Prüvit welcome.